Hey, what is up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to or watching the Powercast. And today we're going to be recapping Power Book 4 Force Season 3, Episode 3. And the title of the episode is There's Always a Price to Pay. And I'm joined today by Miss Dana Abercrombie. How are you doing today, Dana?
I'm alive.
Good to hear from you. And we're also joined by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing today, Rich?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers?
Indeed, indeed. So, yeah, lots of interesting things going on in this episode. A bit of a cliffhanger at the end. So, there's going to be lots to talk about with your boy D-Mac and Jenard and Diamond. So, yeah, looking forward to hearing your takes on that. So we're going to jump right into that, really. But big shouts to everyone who leaves a comment every week. So please do leave your comments. Let us know what you think of the episode and some of the recent news stories, which we're going to touch on a bit later. And then also make sure you hit the like button for us, hit the subscribe, the bell icon, all that good stuff. But yeah, I won't delay too much. We're going to get into our takeaways now. And this week it is Richard's turn to go first. So, Richard, whenever you're ready, hit us with your takeaways.
Okay, so first and foremost, I thought this was an entertaining episode of Power. I had about one or two critiques, which I'll get into here. But let me start off with the takeaways. So, first takeaway. Let's talk about Tommy in this episode. Obviously, we know that because of the decisions that were made in the previous episodes, now the coalition, not us, but the actual coalition, they are starting to be impacted by the actions that have been taken. So in the beginning of this episode, you see, a Diamond's barbershop. As he goes to the barbershop, we see Chavo's body laying there, sliced. And obviously, that was the message that was sent by Ortega, who was somebody who I will get into a little bit later. But let me just say this right off the bat. Now, I think it's interesting that obviously Ortega has eyes on Tommy. That is the person that he wants to get his hands on. I just think it's interesting how, yeah, they sent that message with Chavo, the body being left in front of Diamond's barbershop. But I didn't see an attempt to try to go after Diamond in any way. Clearly Ortega knows. Obviously, you understand why he doesn't want to get his hands, why he wants to get his hands on Tommy. He doesn't want anyone else to do it. But I think it's very interesting that there are other ways to hurt Tommy. His business partner is there, so I think maybe that'll happen in the future where he comes and he does damage to that barbershop, but he gets his people to do damage to the barbershop. But I feel like that's just a message that he knows. He knows where they are, how to get to them. I just think it's interesting how they haven't really progressed to that stage yet with the actual story. So we'll see where that goes. But continuing with Tommy, in this episode, he does give Maria a gun, basically tells her, okay, it's very dangerous out here right now. I just want you to only focus on, you go to work and you come back here. Don't go anywhere else. And prior to that, let me mention before I get into that, Tommy, obviously, when he sees what happened to Chavo, it's like, at least from what I saw, how this episode started off, he still is very much remaining cool under pressure. He's not really overly concerned about the situation. When the DSDs, when one of their guys shows up, he's basically telling them, oh, we know how to get to Ortega. Diamond and I know how to get to Ortega. So we'll take care of the situation. Trying to keep everything calm under pressure. But again, when it comes to Maria, he's very concerned about her because, again, that's the love interest. But obviously, yeah, I want to see where they're going with Tommy because we know that she is what makes him vulnerable. But he hasn't really been making any wise business decisions up to this point. And you are starting to see that. So we want to see where they're going with that. But what I found interesting is, obviously, they got visited. Diamond and Tommy were also trying to get in with the United Kings. And then when the guy showed up, he told them, well, I'm already working with the Insane Princes. That's Miguel's crew. And because again, and you're going and I predict that you're going to start to see a lot of people in this coalition separate themselves from Tommy, CBI, so on and so forth. So what Tommy decides, well, because we don't want to lose so many people, let me go and talk to the Serbs, because they need to know that Ortega is responsible for taking out Merkovich. And yes, his plan to go and talk to the Serbs, I thought that was pretty believable and straightforward, because yeah, you need as much help as possible. However, I wouldn't trust anybody. I wouldn't trust the Serbs. I wouldn't trust any of these other people that you are aligning yourself with. And it is a temporary alliance. So I do want to see where they go with that. But yes, they team up. They decide to take out, I believe it was Ortega's uncle. Yeah. To deliver a message. And again, I think at this point, and then the last thing I will mention with Tommy is he's still working with Vic. That's Gary's favorite character, by the way. Let me go ahead and make this comment for people that are wondering. My name on this particular show is West Side Story Superfan, because I was there when I saw Ray Thompson and Vic, aka Jason, getting close together. But yes, and by the way, for those that don't know, those two are actually married in real life. So this is why they have better chemistry than Tommy and Maria. If you don't know, that's why, because I saw that news came out a couple of days ago, you know, because a lot of people who watch Power, they post a whole bunch of stuff about stuff with people on the cast and stuff. But yes, they are a married couple. So that would explain why they have so much good chemistry together on camera. But pretty much Vic does tell Tommy, I think I found a way to get in with Stacy. You just have to, you can donate to her campaign, be her biggest contributor. So I do want to see where they're going with that, because clearly, yes, that'll be very interesting. And I'm sure if and when she finds out that Tommy did this, that's probably going to make her very angry. But that could be a very comical reaction. So I look forward to seeing where they're going with that. So stay tuned for that. But that's my takeaway for Tommy in this episode. I want to get to D-Mac, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I've seen the comments on our last episode. There are some people that do not like D-Mac. And I will say this. I understand that they have this younger perspective of the characters that they want to show. But I will tell you this, and we can debate this later. After watching this episode, I am convinced, at least in my mind, D-Mac is bulletproof. This character will not die in this show. Because, again, I just saw he pulled out, now, first and foremost, an excellent plan, because Diamond and Jenard had this whole plan. We need to get rid of D-Mac. Let's hit up the 9/7s and let's get them involved in this plan. And Diamond is a very smart plan to do that, so then it will look like someone else took them out and they're not responsible. So I give them props. Of course, Jenard goes and tells him, if you pull this off, you hit the 9/7s, you're in CBI. So D-Mac puts together his little crew with the help of Marshall. They do the hit, and of course, everything, the funny thing about it is, Jenard tells him to basically go in and rob them, but obviously D-Mac has another way. He says, no, I know they have a lot of security. They have police officers, the dirty cops working for them. I'm going to do this my way. So very smart character to devise a different type of plan. I do think it's funny that he still thinks by him getting into CBI and getting all this money, he has a chance with Genesis. We'll see where that goes. But obviously they do their whole little plan. And by the way, I know that Gary, he does like to watch a lot of these crime shows, stuff, the shootouts happening. So I know he was very excited when he saw this scene. I can't wait to hear what he has to say about this. I was laughing when I saw the tension, the gunshots, the cars. It's a lot of stuff happening in that whole scene. But of course, rest in peace to Nutty Boy. That's one of his close friends that got taken out. But they're able to pull off the heist. And then, of course, D-Mac shows up at the end of the episode much to the surprise of Jenard and Diamond, to say, hey, I did the job, so I'm in CBI now. And of course they say, okay, yeah, you're in CBI. And that's when Tommy shows up, which again, as Gary said, is a cliffhanger, but it's a very funny reaction because Tommy already told D-Mac, you need to lay low. Do not worry about CBI, focus on something else. So I can't wait to see where they of this episode. And this to me is the real reason why I am enjoying this season so far. There are a few things that are unpredictable in terms of certain things that are happening in the storyline. I do want to say this. The Ortega character, I like this character a lot because it reminds me of Lobos on the original Power, but this is an OG version of Lobos because he literally has control over various parts of what's happening in the story with different characters. Like the whole thing with, we know that Claudia had the deal where she was going to be protected in jail. He pulled her protection. And I like that we saw the scene of her basically taking back her power. And so now, because she did take out the person that tried to kill her initially. So now she has a goal of going after Ortega, I would imagine, as well as anybody else once she finally does get out of jail. So that's good. The other thing with Ortega is we spoke about last week about the hired hitman that we all thought, hey, that could be a good challenge for Tommy. And all along, Ortega is pulling the strings that says, hey, absolutely, you will not kill Tommy Egan. And then, of course, we had the scene with Miguel finding out the information, roughing up the guy, feeding parts of this guy to his new pig, which is, this is kind of crazy. But then when you see that he talks to Ortega, and now Ortega is telling him, I'll make a deal with you. You bring me Tommy Egan. I want to take him out myself. And then, of course, the last thing here is that with Ortega also impacting what's happening with Stacy in her position as far as the U.S. attorney going for the mayor position. The fact that he messed up the warrant, the fact that he has one of the officers working close with her is he's also working for this guy too. So I like this because it makes it interesting because on one end, we see the moves that Tommy is making, and it feels to me that Ortega is steps ahead of Tommy. At least that's how it looks in this episode. So it makes me curious to see what they're going to do when they get to this eventual showdown. Obviously, we know a lot of people have plans for certain things that are not going to go according to plan. I do imagine that Miguel and Ortega, something's going to happen with that plan where it's not going to work out. And then, of course, Tommy and Miguel. Tommy is going to take out Miguel at some point. It's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. I don't see it any other way. And then he could lose Maria after that. So very, very curious to see where they're going with all of these things. But overall, I thought this was an entertaining episode. Makes me curious to see what happens next. So that's all I got to say for right now. I look forward to hearing what you both say. And of course, we'll talk more about the episode as the show continues.
Whoa, hold on. So are you saying the sex scenes were real in this episode?
Well, yeah, of course. They had to put emotion into the scene. Yeah, of course. They didn't go too far with it. We've seen the OG Power. Them scenes are a lot more, So this was pretty tame compared to what we've seen in the past, I would say. Just my opinion.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. I guess because they really love each other, so it was more loving than all the other sex scenes we saw. So
absolutely,
I guess that makes sense. But I agree about D-Mac. Like he's bulletproof. Like he needs to be the next big action superstar or something. Like he needs to take over the Triple X series, like the movie series or something. Because this guy, like the last 2 episodes, like he's been on a run. Like he robbed the poker game or whatever it was, and then now he's like shooting up a whole crew. Yeah, this guy is the new Tommy. Like he's gonna be the new Tommy for real. So, but yeah, great takeaways, great observations as always. Some of your takeaways are things that I have in mind as well. So let me get right into my takeaways. Um, so firstly, let's talk about boss chick Claudia, because yeah, I agree, Richard. Like that was a cool scene to see her flip the script on that chick who stabbed her and basically took her whole crew. So the reason that happens is because obviously Ortega takes away her protection in the prison, and then the girl is trying to intimidate her still. So once the protection is gone, this leaves Claudia vulnerable. But Claudia, she's a fighter. She's not gonna sit back and just take it. So behind the scenes, I guess she made some moves, and she completely flips the script on the woman who's trying to take her out, and then she ends up killing her and taking her people. And that was a straight up G move. So I respect Claudia for that. And after seeing that as well, and also because you mentioned it as well, Rich, so now she has a score to settle with Ortega. So I kind of feel like Claudia might be in for a redemption arc in this season from here on. Like I feel like they're going to try and make her more of a good character now, because previously she was on the opposite sides of Tommy and her brother. So I'm starting to feel like maybe that might change. Like maybe she gets out. Maybe I feel like she might actually end up exposing Shanti, perhaps, at like exposing Shanti's plot to kill Tommy and Diamond and stuff. And maybe she'll find common ground with Tommy and start actually working with him again. Because yeah, to me it just feels like they're kind of keeping this character relevant and trying to build her up a bit. So yeah, I feel like we're going to see a pretty good redemption arc for this character in the season. But I want to see how that plays out with Vic, because these two clearly have tension. They always have tension. Vic just kicked out her girlfriend from the apartment, so yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how Claudia takes that, because the girlfriend is going to go visit Claudia and tell her what's happening. So I want to see how that plays out in the next episode. But yeah, that was very interesting to see Claudia um, basically making moves and surviving in prison. So props to that character. Second takeaway. So I feel like Ortega's inside man is going to lead to some very interesting legal espionage plot lines, I think, because now Ortega has an inside man and Tommy has an inside man, and these two people are at war with each other, Ortega and Tommy. So, and they both have inside people in the legal system now. So this is going to be like a very entertaining cat and mouse game to see how this plays out. I think it's going to be very bad for Stacy Marks, because this could go wrong in so many ways. I think Vic needs to be very careful, because this inside man could easily find out that Vic is an inside man. He like so, and if that happens, Vic is going to be very vulnerable, because Ortega is going to try and take him out. And okay, so let's say the inside man in Ortega's inside man finds out that Vic is feeding information to Tommy, right? And then they come to get Vic, and Vic is with that woman, the campaign woman, and she gets taken out, possibly. That's probably the end of Stacy Mark's campaign right there, because having your campaign manager, like, assistant murdered, like, and you're a police person, like, yeah, that's not a good look at all. So that's probably her mayoral campaign over right there, if something like that happens. Like, that's a big disaster to play out. And Vic, like, there's a word that we use in the UK, right, called bait, right? And bait, it basically means like you're being on the nose, you're being like too direct, right? So when he's in the bed with the assistant, right? And what did she say? She said, yeah, so she basically says that she's on the campaign for a mayoral elect or whatever, right? And Vic's like, let me guess, Stacy Marks, right? Now, Vic is he's playing an IT guy, right? I'm an IT guy. I don't know who's mayor in my town. Like, the only thing like, if you're an IT guy, you spend your time looking at codes and swapping out Ethernet cables and stuff like that, right? You're not going to be up on who's running for mayor. So him just coming out with Stacy Marks, it's like, are you trying to keep a secret or not? And then she's like, oh, do you know anyone with $1 million for the campaign? And he's like, just $1 million? Like, how do you know someone with $1 million? Like, how do you know someone with, how do you just casually know someone with $1 million as an IT guy if he's not the CEO of your company or something? Like he's just out there with it. Like he's just being like so obvious. So he's gonna get found out at some point, either by the woman or Ortega's man. Because Vic, he's just doing anything right now. He's love struck, clearly. So, and of course, at the end of the episode, he calls Tommy and basically tells him, "Oh, you need to donate some money for the campaign and stuff." And that actually might be a good move, but he needs to just be careful because he's being too obvious with it. Like this could easily get chased back. So he needs to be careful how he manages this whole donation idea that he's doing. Like, because yeah, he's in a very vulnerable position right now, especially with Ortega having an inside man. So yeah, I just want to like espionage plot lines interest me, so I want to see how that plays out. The fact that both men have inside people in the legal system, I feel like that's, and like you said, Richard, that's very much like Lobos and Original Power and stuff, you know, Angela, all that stuff. So I'm loving that part of it. So it's entertaining. And yeah, so last takeaway. Uh, yeah, so Miguel allying with Ortega. I think this is bad news for Tommy. Very bad news. Now, in this episode, when Tommy went to visit Maria, he was very upset. He was very disturbed when she told him that she went to see Miguel. And you know, Cynthia was there as well, which I believe is a family member or something. Um, so the fact that Cynthia was there and the fact that she was kind of on good terms with Miguel, this means that she might go back over there. She might actually end up hanging out there a little bit, like seeing her family, and you know, she might catch up with Cynthia, and Cynthia wants to meet Tommy and stuff, you know. So they might get the little family thing going. But Tommy knows that this isn't good for him because he's in competition with Miguel. And let's say Maria is over there and she casually lets something slip, like, oh yeah, Tommy, he likes to go to the barber shop at 2 p.m., around 2 p.m. to get a haircut, to get a fade or whatever. You know, like she might casually just let some information slip like that she's not supposed to. And this could be bad for Tommy because now Miguel knows what's going on with Tommy. So I think the fact that Miguel and Ortega are both aligned now, like his two biggest ops, this is bad for business. Like this is going to get very bad very quickly. So I think this season is about to escalate in a big way after this episode. And yeah, I want to see how it happens, man, because there's no way it can just be like chill at this point. Like it's really intensifying this beef. So I want to see where that goes. And then of course you've also got the DMAX story, which kind of is crossing over a little bit now. Or it seems like it's going to start to cross over a little bit. So, you know, obviously Tommy and Diamond, they're kind of like the head two people at CBI, and then you have Jenard as well. But in this episode, they continue their plot to take out DMAC by sending him on a suicide mission, if you will, to take out the 9/7s, which is another crew, and then they actually give the 9/7s the drop on DMAC to let them know that DMAC is coming so that they can take him out, so that, you know, they can settle things with King Kilo, right? Now, you know, DMAC does his action hero stuff and he survives and kills everyone. And yeah, so, and then he comes back into the CBI, the barbershop, and yeah, they find out he's alive. And basically, they have no other option but to promote him into CBI because that was part of the deal. Like, that's what they told him. Like, if you do this, you're in. So the fact that he survived, they didn't expect him to survive, but he did. Now, you know, they have no choice because he's right there, he's living. And then Tommy walks in. Now, this is going to get very interesting, right? Because how I imagine this is, you know, maybe Tommy's like, you know, why are you saying that he's in CBI? And, you know, Jenard and Diamond might play dumb and be like, yeah, he's very eager, he's very keen. I think he'd be a good addition. You know, they'll try and like make up some stuff, right? So that they don't alert Tommy to what's going on. And Tommy might be like, hell no, he ain't joining nothing. And then he'll take DMAC home or something and try and talk to DMAC and tell him, like, just sit your ass down. You're not doing nothing. You're not joining CBI, right? But if Tommy hears about the 9/7 situation, if he hears any word on the streets about that situation, then that's where it's going to get tricky for Diamond and Jenard. You know, if he hears about that situation at all. And the fact that DMAC was involved, because he's going to be like, why was DMAC sent on this mission? Why was he messing with the 9/7s? You know, so they better hope that he doesn't hear anything about 9/7, 98, 99, nothing. Like he doesn't need to hear any 90, you know, numbers at all. So, yeah, but I feel like it's going to start to get tense soon. I feel like the rift between Tommy and Diamond is coming because there's only so long you can keep this now. The fact that he just walked in on that conversation, his antennas are going to be up, and they can try and lie all they want, but I think Tommy knows now. I think he's going to keep a close eye on the situation. And I think he knows something's not right at this point, because what is DMAC doing at the barbershop in the first place, you know? So it's going to get interesting. And if there's tension between Diamond and Tommy right now, when Ortega and Miguel have teamed up, that's going to be a sign of weakness. Like they could really take the whole coalition apart at that point. So yeah, it's going to get interesting. I do think Tommy made a smart move by now piecing it up with the Serbs. The Serbs, of course, gave the drop on Ortega's uncle and stuff. So maybe that was a smart alliance to make up with the Serbs and stuff. I know Tommy also mentioned connecting with the Italians. Maybe he ends up going to New York to do that because he has ties, you know, with the Italians or whatever. So maybe he'll try and connect with the Italians again, because he does need more allies now because the other Mexican crew backed out. So yeah, it's going to get interesting, I think. So I want to see what happens in the next episode at this point. But those are my takeaways. And yeah, I want to hear from Miss Dana Abercrombie now. So Dana, when you're ready.
I was waiting for Gang 6-7 because it's the 9/7. Kid joke. Watch South Park. My thing, Gary, like, you're all okay in the UK? Because the IT here in America, one, they have money because it's IT and everything is going to IT. And then, like, two, they kind of know who is running for certain offices because that affects their job. So, like, just for example, yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Like the people in the tech industry and stuff, they are, they're billionaires and stuff. It's like Elon Musk and Sam Altman and these mans. Yeah, but Vic is the IT man with tattoos. He's got tattoos all over his body. That's the kind of IT man that's more of a technician, and he's setting up servers and things like that.
You're
Like he's
stereotyping.
he's in the back room coding. Like he's not the front man with the billions. Like
You are stereotyping. Good Lord. No, no, no. He can work in IT, and I think I was the only one. I love how you guys are like, oh my God, I love those two, the Vic and the girl together. And I was sitting here like, there's no chemistry. What are you guys talking about? And then you're like, oh, they're married. And I'm like, uh, for real? On this planet? I just didn't sense any kind of chemistry. And maybe, it's written that way because he is the one who's trying to infiltrate her. And she's all like, kind of thing. Because remember, she went to go like leave. She's like, look, I got work. And he was like, no, we got to meet again. We can't have first conversation over grilled cheese and french fries. And I was like, I would love some grilled cheese and french fries. So, he keeps trying to attach himself to her. And she's like, okay. Yeah, it's really hard for me to not say what I want to say because you guys are like either this way or like really close. So I can't say anything, but I will say this. I love me some D Money Mac. D Money Mac needs like a 2-episode spinoff of him just not dying. Everything that they put him through, he just doesn't die. Remember Spy versus Spy on SNL back in the day? The two spies are trying to kill each other and they never accomplished that? That is D Money Mac to me. So Jenard and Diamond thinking of creative and crafty ways for D-Mac to die, and it's like, nah. And he keeps ducking and dodging, and it just doesn't make any sense, and it's all over the top. He, like you said, he's basically Fast and Furious. He is the Vin Diesel right now. Or maybe he's The Rock. But the point is, I love it, and it adds to me humor without being so ridiculously over the top, where it takes away from the story. It adds more of that conflict of like, oh, he's still ain't dead situation between Jenard and Diamond. And by the way, can we talk about Jenard and Diamond working together? Yes, he's trying to kill D-Mac, but still they're working together. So it's nice to see the brotherly kind of, what would it, I don't know, equal eye to eye of seeing things and working together. I like that aspect very much so. You see how much better it is without Shanti? It's just the mood is lighter. Oh my God, you gotta kill him. You gotta kill him. Is he dead? It's just happy Black people. So yes, I love me some D Money Mac situation. Claudia, oh, I can't say. But Claudia, I loved this scene with Claudia because it goes to show like, oh, you're gonna still take away my protection. You think that I'm just some helpless white girl in jail. And it shows that innate kind of ability that she has to survive. And that you can argue, oh, well, she lived in the mansion, but she's able to use the privilege that she had of the mansion and understanding and learning. Because remember, she wasn't taught. It was like, oh, you're a girl, go away. So it shows you what she is still able to absorb from that when she lived in the mansion with the dad, and how she is still able to manipulate and apply it to the prison. So when it was like, I knew something was weird because remember when the I guess the correction officer lady was like, make it quick. And then she gave her the knife or blade or whatever it was. And then the girl, not the girlfriend, but like her bodyguard was like, are you sure? I'm going to be right by the door. Even she was thrown off. So it just showed like she had this plan and that she coordinated it with the correction officer. And of course, the plot twist when it was like, oh, you going to come after me and my girls. And it was like, we're not your girls. And then they stepped away. I love that. Dramatic. Plot twist. I didn't see that coming. And it's like, so I love you. See, she's smart. So use teamwork, make the dream work. She needed some friends, and that's just some friends. It's going to be really interesting to see if she is able to get out. Who does she end up having to work with? And I still want her back with her brother. That would be an interesting reunion of a sort. That's so I want her back with her brother. I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, I do, but I do like how they played Claudia, not like some poor helpless person in jail being assaulted on day one. Because we saw her stabbed. It was like, oh, she's gonna die. Hey, bye. But she came back to me stronger than ever. So I like that aspect. Also, I'm really liking the fact that Tommy is losing this episode. He's taking the L. People are flying out windows. It is still not enough. And he's taking that L. And I like to see when things don't work out for him. So this is something that as a viewer, it's like, yes, you're not supposed to win every day. Even Thanos, he won, but then he didn't win. But then technically he won again, but then he didn't win. The ups and downs of winning and losing. I like that. And then, of course, I forgot what my last point was. I'm trying to go through the Rolodex of characters. Myra. Y'all already know that I hate this with all of my heart, with all of my soul. I hate this relationship. What I will say is I'm happy that I thought it was her cousin, her friend, whomever it was. I'm happy that she's there. And you can see the familiar relationship that she has with Manuel. Sorry, names. The relationship that she has with him, maybe she's going to be like a shoulder that she relies on. To be like, this is what's happening. And here's what I truly think. Because I love you, Tommy. Yeah, cute. But what are you really thinking during this? He gave you a gun for your protection. Is this truly the lifestyle that you were born into? Yes, but is this something that you really want to continue? And I wonder if this friend is going to lend an ear and kind of maybe be the voice of reason for me, because I don't want this relationship to relation anymore. But yeah, and it's kind of, again, goes with my question that I posed before. Does Tommy have some kind of emotional hole that he's trying to fill? Because I don't know, you can argue some kind of replacement for Holly in that situation, because to me, he's just dumping and driving and going into things. I just don't like this relationship with Myra. I was just genuinely don't. But yeah, so overall, I thought this was really exciting. It was really fun to kind of see. I thought they did a really great job. It wasn't crazy, it wasn't over the top, except for the D-Mac thing, which to me would just always be hilarious. Him just walking will always be hilarious. And you do now have the rift of what is going to happen between Tommy, Jenard, and Diamond. I think right now, because things are not going Tommy's way and he needs to focus and concentrate on what he has to do, that D-Mac may not be an immediate priority at the moment. He's going to yell, he can scream, but I don't think that this is something where it's like, I'm never working with you again, Gerard and Diamond. This is what you did. I mean, and then dragging D-Mac by his locks to go back to his dad. I don't see that. And then one of the things that made it really interesting, remember that teaser that we got where it was like, this reminds me of Ghost and Kanan, right? Yes, it was like a nod to and then he looked in the camera and it was like a wink, like, ha. But by him saying that, it was kind of a nostalgic feeling. So I'm kind of wondering if that is how he's going to now look at the D-Mac situation. Well, you didn't die, so I don't agree with you entering, but maybe this is for the better. I need an extra person because everything's a mess at the moment. So it could work that way. But I understand him saying no. But also another thing, though, D-Mac is hard-headed. He is someone, and maybe that is what's keeping him alive. He's determined to belong. And I think that even if Tommy was to walk out the door and take CBI with him, you're never doing this again. I disown you. And he goes back to New York. D-Mac is still going to continue. Even if his entire family probably abandons him, he'll be sad. But he's like, okay, I'm a king now. This is something that I think, I hate to say this, he probably needs the nurturing and the molding. Because it's cute. I lived these couple of days and made it, yay! But it's gonna get more harder. It's gonna get complicated. You got people delivering cut up dead bodies. You got a man with a pig eating bodies. Someone just got thrown out the window. Everyone's being knifed. So, like, you need to be molded a certain way so you don't end up looking like Vanilla Ice crying because he was dangling outside the window. So I think that Tommy is going to be upset, but realizes that there is nothing that he can do about it. And in a way, it could remind him of himself. Granted, Tommy didn't have the safety nets that D-Mac has. D-Mac has a dad, you know? He has the thing where he can say, I don't want to do this, and everything will be okay. Heck, he can call up Kate, and Kate will be like, baby, come down here and live with me. But this is something that he is determined to do, that hard-headedness, that kind of, in a way, reminded me of Kanan. So this little Kanan running around. This is the same time period as Kanan. No, it's not the same time period as Kanan, because I was like, oh, look, imagine if they met each other. They're not the same time period. But the point, yeah, Kanan did. So the point that I'm simply saying is, this is now the new kind of sillier version of that. And, you know, and the next show is called Legacy. So if to say Tommy did die, we'll get into that later on, this is now his legacy. Who's to say legacy is like the continued story of Tommy forever? It could be like, oh, Tommy died in the first episode. Here's my legacy. So, yeah, that's everything.
No, I like your take. I'm getting fully on board with D-Mac. Like I think he's the future of Power. He's more believable than Tariq to me, because yeah, his intentions, his aura is real. Like all he wants is somebody to impress Genesis and to be accepted by CBI. So yeah, like his intentions are pure. Whereas Tariq, he was spiteful with it. Like he was spiteful. He wanted to spite his dad and everyone. Like yeah, so D-Mac, he's the future in my opinion. But Richard, go ahead. You wanted to say something?
Quick comment. First and foremost, excellent takeaways by Dana and Gary. I just want to respond to what you said earlier, Gary, about the whole Vic being a tech guy. I will say this. He had the perfect explanation, because the press conference, we saw the press conference Stacy had that, did not go well when that reporter asked about the divorce. So yes, and that was broadcasted. So we have to acknowledge, yes, that was a good cover from that perspective, because everybody saw that press conference. Well, I would assume everybody saw it. So yeah, that's all I was going to say. Go ahead, Dana.
I wonder, because to me, getting a divorce is not something that's like, oh, scandalous. But I wonder if the husband, if he chooses to be, is going to be really nasty with the situation and try to derail her campaign. But like some one-on-one sit-down interview, she was never there for me. If she doesn't care about me, how can she care about you? Like it can get mean nasty. It could be nice nasty. Because when you coming in with like little subpoenas and saying, I want a divorce, instead of doing it privately, and you could tell that he's angry about it, it seems to me. Because if he really was like, look, let's be adults about this situationship. This is not working. You would take someone privately. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let's go out to dinner. Hey, Pookie, I don't think we're gonna make it. Instead of like subpoenaing people in the middle of their day at the office. Now here comes Nosy Nancy being like, what happened? And then she's talking to the tabloids. So I'm just wondering, you want to be a messy queen, how messy is it going to get?
It's going to get real messy for Stacy, I think. Like, I think this whole thing is going to blow up in her face, like from multiple angles. So, yeah, I want to see. Yeah, go ahead.
And she's already cutting corners. Because remember that lady was like, well, if you didn't do this, she's cutting corners. She's not focused, it seems. And they said it, you're so determined to get this one thing that you're not thinking fully of the whole picture. You're not seeing everything in the processes that you have to do. And then what happens with Vic? Could Vic somehow be like, I was abused, help me? And then he comes out and talks about that, what's going on with him. And it just, in a way, you can't blame anybody else but herself, because she's so blinded by one thing of, yes, you want to be mayor, and I understand. But who's to say that just one little case is going to determine that you're a mayor? Does this, you know what I mean? Like, how in tune or intact is Chicago residents to be like, yeah, this guy, he's going to go down. That made me vote for her. I don't know.
Yeah, since we're on this topic, shouts to Motown Investor. I wanted to make sure I gave them credit for this, but there was a theory that do you think potentially that Stacy's husband is with the cartel or he has been compromised in some way by the cartel? And then do you think that's a possibility? I mean, judging by last season and how his character was, I'm not so sure, but that would make an interesting twist because it's like all this stuff is happening at the same time. It's like that would be interesting if it was the case. But what do you think about that?
It doesn't work for me for the simple fact that I just, as a viewer, would have liked little nuggets of her being sabotaged. You know what I mean? And then you're like, well, who is it? And then it's like, it's the husband. Now they still have time to do that. We are on episode 3, right? But I just don't see or understand why he would do that. I think he's more of just like a messy petty Betty, as opposed to something much larger with the cartel.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I'm still leaning towards the fact that Stacy might get taken out, and then this will, because he already was he was fighting back with her about this divorce, so I think this may make him, something happens to her now, it's like, okay, now he will also want to get involved and get Tommy Egan up, take care of Tommy Egan. So that's what I think is going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Did you have something else you were going to say, Dana, or should I move on?
I see whatchamaface, Vic dying before I see Stacy. Because wouldn't it be even bigger, like more impactful, if she lost her, what is it? What did they call it? CIs? I don't know what they call it. Informants, essentially. Their mold.
Snitch.
It would be more snitch. What happens if the snitch gets the snitch and then now he's in the ditch? So therefore, where is her case now?
Yep, and I would add it'll be even worse if he gets taken out along with his new love interests. Yes, that would be very bad because now you have everybody's involved in that. So hopefully that doesn't happen though.
Yeah, I really think the inside man for Ortega is going to find out about Vic. Like that's what I think.
Oh yeah,
is going to happen.
And one other quick thing I will mention too about Vic, because you made the comment, Gary, that Vic needs to be careful. In the previous episode, I don't think we mentioned this. When Vic was talking with Stacy, he told Stacy, yes, Shanti was the one that Tommy thought was behind all this other stuff. He thought that she was the snitch, and she asked him, well, why didn't Tommy deal with that situation? And he just said, oh, well, let's get off of that subject and let's focus on other things right now. So he could slip up and tell her something that he shouldn't, or she could, or Stacy could find out that Vic is actually lying. And I mean, he can get exposed at any point. So I want to see who is going to be the one that exposes him. It could definitely happen though.
Oh yeah, lots of exposing. There's a lot of lies going around in this season, so it's going to be interesting to see. So, question time. Do you think? So I do feel like the fallout between Tommy and Diamond is coming because there's only so long Diamond can keep this from Tommy that he was the one who's been instigating the whole DMAC thing, and then also King Kilo, he's still there in the background. I'm pretty sure it's been longer than a week by now, and he wanted DMAC dead, so he's gonna come. He's gonna make his move soon. I feel like. So, do you see the fallout between Tommy and Diamond coming very soon? So, who wants to answer first? I think Richard's got his finger on the mute button. There we go.
Yeah, this has to happen. Either it will happen in the next episode or the mid-season finale, which is in 2 weeks. I feel like this has to happen to keep things interesting, to move the story forward. I don't know to what extent that fallout is going to happen. We do know that King Kilo did say him and his crew are going to leave the coalition if they do not follow through on taking out DMAC. And I would assume they will not only leave the coalition, but then they will be the ones to do that themselves and potentially try to take out Diamond and Jenard as well, since they didn't follow through on their plan to take him out. So I feel like in order to escalate things to another level, this is probably going to happen in the next 2 episodes. And at the same time, you both made the point that, yes, Tommy is in a lot of trouble now because Ortega is working with Miguel. I predict that's also going to happen in the next 2 episodes. And now it's going to be like, yeah, Tommy really is going to have his back against the wall by the mid-season finale. I think that's a possibility. That's just my guess, though. But yeah, I think that's safe bet.
Yeah, and another thing with Miguel, like, and Maria, like, he has a cheap move that he can play anytime by just taking Maria, like he did last time, and then Tommy will show up, So, I mean, it's not going to be very hard for them to get at Tommy if they really want to. But yeah, Dana, what's your thoughts on the fallout between Tommy and Diamond?
Remember, Maria has that handy dandy gun. And anytime you introduce a gun into a situation, it's going to get used. Whether or not for the good or the bad, we don't know. But they made it sure because she was all like, the whole thing, like, decisions. So yeah, that gun is going to get used some way, I feel. But I forgot. Oh, so King metric system. This is what I feel about this whole situation. I think that he is waiting, like he knows what's going on. And I think that there were opportunities to kill DMAC. But Jenard and Diamond, as you can clearly see, are doing alternative ways so their hands doesn't get dirty. I feel that someone as huge as King metric system, he would be able to know what is going on, right? And that he's just watching from afar, waiting for them to continue to probably lie or elongate the death of DMAC. And I think metric system will have a way to put his own people out to kill DMAC. Or in, like, again, weird luck of the draw when it comes to DMAC. He can't die. So one of the brothers could get taken out. I mean, it could be one of those situations as well. DMAC doesn't fully, I think that he kind of understands what's going on, but he doesn't understand the gravity of what's going on. And that King Kilo is someone that you don't want to mess with. So unless some way this can all be resolved, I don't think it can be. How do you resolve, I'm not going to kill him, even though he killed your people, unless you take out somebody else? So is it, oh, cool, give me the head of Jenard, give me the head of Diamond, give me the head of Tommy. Or again, here's an innocent, give me the head of Maria. And she goes with her little gun and she can't shoot. That's how it could work. So I think that King Kilo could have a larger part in this situation. That we've seen that people behind jail can have a lot of power and a lot of pull. So I'm rooting for King metric system.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said one of the brothers could get taken out, because I do feel like if Jenard were to possibly get taken out, like that we would see like the last piece of humanity that Diamond has, like, leave him. Because like if you remember in this episode, the lady came to see him, like, from last season, and he was basically like, I can't do this, because I'm not a good guy, I'm not good for you right now. And the way it seemed was like Diamond knows that he's in a dark place basically right now. Like, he's in a very dark place. He has to make bad decisions that are going to have consequences. So if for him to lose Jenard, I think that would be the last straw for him, and we would see this character completely turn to darkness. And At that point, if he's on the opposite side of the chessboard with Tommy, then it's going to get very dark. At that point, to have these two, former partners now being enemies. So that would be interesting if Jenard ends up, because if King Kilo does take out Jenard, he might actually blame Tommy and DMAC for that situation, because it ties to DMAC's era basically. So yeah, that would be interesting. That would be an interesting dynamic. But I hope Jenard doesn't die, because he's an entertaining character to watch. So, but we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, any other thoughts on that before we get to the next thing? Okay, so where do you think they're going with Claudia? Do you think she's going to get out soon? I can't actually remember what she's in for at the moment, but I feel like this character
Didn't
is
Vic
going to get
frame
out.
her? Didn't Tommy and Vic frame her for like all of that murder in the warehouse from the last season in the finale?
Okay, is that where it was?
Or I could be wrong and confusing shows.
Yeah, you might be right. I really can't remember. I need to go back and watch. But I feel like, in power, people don't stay long in prison. This is power. They find their way out somehow. She might have a way out through Stacy Marks. She might make some kind of agreement or whatever, which would be interesting, because Vic is also a snitch. He's a double agent for Stacy Marks as well. So that would be interesting for both siblings to be in that position. But yeah, I feel like she's going to get out soon. She has to, I think, for her character to grow further. I think she's going to get out. But what do you think is her path this season? Like, say she does get out, like, is her path going to be to take over everything like it always is, or do you see something different for her? Go ahead, Dana.
Well, I think from the main thing is going to be revenge. She definitely wants Tommy. Now, if she does end up teaming up with Stacy or someone, and it gets complicated like that, it's going to be interesting to see, because Stacy has a leash on Vic, but I'm wondering if that leash would work when it comes to Claudia. So that could be one thing where she's defying Stacy, and she's like, "I'm going to send you back to prison," and he's like, "I don't care," and she becomes a fugitive that way. But I do feel that her whole mission is to get revenge on those who crossed her. So that does mean Vic, and it means Tommy. And I'm wondering if we get some kind of showdown, because that should be very interesting. And I've always liked Claudia, and I always thought she was smarter than her brother. So for me, I just want her to be the one that actually survives.
Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what Dana said. I think Claudia is the rightful heir to the throne. I see her by the end of this show, she will be taking over the Flynn family. Whatever the stuff that was left with her father, she will take over all of that. And of course, Vic will get taken out before that happens. And as for what will happen with her, we do know that Stacy did say in this episode she needs to talk to Claudia Flynn. She's still talking to Claudia to try to get some information on getting Vic. So she can tell Stacy very well the next episode, listen, in order for me to help you more effectively, I need you to pull strings and get me out of here. Because again, we have to remember that Stacy is the one that got Ortega put into, isolation in the protective custody. So that's why I say she can make those decisions and take her out of there. But of course, it comes with catches. But I agree 100%. She will get out, and then she will be in a position to try and get revenge on Ortega, as well as others. And one last point that I will mention, because Dana interviewed the actress who plays Claudia. In that interview, she said she shared a scene with Tommy, the final scene she shared with Tommy. He said something to her that she's waited to hear her entire life. That pretty much is a validation I think that character does make it to the end. I could be entirely wrong, but I do believe she will get out. And again, her and Tommy now have a common enemy that they got to deal with Ortega. So I think that's definitely going to happen. I don't know how it comes together, but that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I could see like so let's say Legacy takes place in, I don't know, if maybe it's New York or something, right? So that means Tommy leaves Chicago, but maybe he still has his organization there, and I could see him like having her run it for him, or like having her in charge, and he just, comes to collect every now and then or whatever. But he's over in Legacy in New York. Like I could see something like that where he basically gives her the keys to everything, maybe. So I definitely feel like she makes it to the end. Like out of the Flynn family, I think she's the one that's going to make it to the end and basically be in charge of everything because she has the drive. Like, Vic doesn't really have the drive. He seems more like a lone wolf. Like he kind of wants his own thing. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I think. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I'll go after you.
Claudia's proven to herself, proven to everyone, she's not working with anyone. She's not working with Tommy. I think she wants to be and will be her own person. So even if he's like, I have a business proposal, she's gonna be like, screw you and your business proposal. They work together already. It's not like something that we didn't see. We saw them working well together with Dahlia. Bring back Dahlia. But the point is, we've seen it already. She's not going to be after everything that she worked through. Yes, Master Tommy, I'm going to work under you. Here's your money. No. She's going to set his house on fire and hope he's in there.
That's the only point I was going to add is, yeah, Vic definitely will get taken out. It needs to get taken out because that was a very disrespectful way he kicked her girlfriend out of the house. He definitely going to get beat down for that. So stay tuned for that. That will happen. But the last thing I was going to mention, Gary, you mentioned, yeah, I do agree with Dana said. I think that she's her own person. She can run her own organization. She doesn't need Tommy. But to go to the point that you said, Gary, about Tommy potentially leaving some business in Legacy, I still think Legacy is not going to be in New York. This could be in London. This could be overseas, international. I know Starz wants to take the show international, so it's possible, right? But we'll see what happens. I don't know anything. Again, we don't know any of these details because again, we're still on the third episode of Force. We haven't seen the entire season, so we have to wait and see how everything plays out.
And then also remember with the interview that Tommy did multitude of times, he wants to take this international. He is spearheading this. Even whatever happens with him and his character, he wants to take this international. And I respectfully don't want to see New York anymore. I don't want to see Queens. I don't want to see Manhattan. We already got Staten Island with Wu-Tang. Nobody cares about Staten Island. Respectfully, there's a rivalry within New York City. We don't want to see that. We love the Wu. But the point is, I am tired of metropolitan locations that are in America. Give us Tahiti, Brazil. Yeah, come on now, just spice it up. Change up the format a little bit because my thing is, respectfully, I don't want this universe to become stagnant. Oh, we're in the same warehouse. I can't tell the warehouse from this location from that location. These people from these ones over here. Give us a show that dives actually into the culture that isn't like in America. Which again, respectfully, Americans on the call, Gary hates us because he lost the war. But the point is, just give us some more flavor. Give us a little bounce. Give us a little hey puppy. So that's just all I want for me.
Yeah, Dana's just tired of the power trucks outside her window and them shutting down the whole block to film and stuff, basically. Like, yeah.
He's actually not lying. They film literally at the back of my building. And they had to shut down a whole drive. Which again is lovely because you could just go downstairs and be like, oh, power. But at the same time, go somewhere else. We love you, but Egypt.
Yeah, international would be interesting, and I guess they would do London because they've teased it before. But I wouldn't mind seeing, just a different city in America, like maybe down south, maybe Miami, Atlanta, or something. I feel like, that could be cool. See some other parts of the country. But I guess we'll have to
We
see.
got down south with P Valley, which is never coming back. But we got down south with P Valley.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we'll see. Leave it in the comments, people. Where do you think Legacy is going to take place? Let us know what you think. But any other comments about this episode before I move on to like the other news topics we wanted to talk about? Anything about this episode? No? Okay, cool. So yeah, I do want to bring up the elephant in the room. There was another show that was a hot topic this week in the Power universe, and that is Power Origins. So we actually got some leaked footage and photos and stuff of, it basically shows Kanan and a young ghost. And this is the exhibit that I'm talking about right here. So as you can see, you got Kanan and young ghost on the block. Now this sparks a lot of discussion, this particular leak. um, the fan base was very divided. I've talked about this a lot with Richard, with DJ, with MovieBot, with Dana, and I've seen a lot of the comments out there. I can only speak for myself and what I think. Um, yeah, this isn't what I expected young Ghost to look like at all. Now, no shade to the actor. I think what's his name?
Spence Moore.
Spencer
He
Moore.
was on
Sorry.
Brilliant Minds. We have the interview with him on the other channel. He's lovely.
Right. Yeah, Spencer Moore. So yeah, no shade to him because he's an actual actor. He's a genuine actor, and I think that when they made the decision to go with Spencer Moore, I feel like one of the criteria was that they wanted Ghost to be represented by a really good actor, a proven actor. But just me personally, like just knowing the character Ghost and also knowing the character Kanan, like I'm just thrown off because one of Kanan's biggest character traits is his size, right? Like he's big, he's imposing, he towers over, well, not towers over, but like he's bigger than everyone. He can clearly handle you physically, right? He's bulky. And in this picture, Ghost is bigger than Kanan, and Ghost is supposed to be younger than Kanan. Like, so it's clear that they're kind of retconning and going in a different direction. I think they're aging up Tommy and Tommy and Ghost. I think they're going to age them up to be closer in age with Kanan. It seems like because they were supposed to be like younger than Kanan, but this looks like they're closer in age, and Ghost is like bigger than Kanan, which is interesting. I don't know if they're going to do some camera tricks or effects or something to make it look different, but I don't think so because I mean the budget for TV isn't that, they don't really do all that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think though. What was your immediate reaction when you saw these leaks? So let's go to you first, Dana.
You picked me. Oh my God. Okay, here's the thing. I think what they're doing is going for who can act as opposed to looking the part. They got a literal, luckiest moment when they found Micaiah Curtis, who looks like 50 and he has the ability to mimic him. He does not act or sound that way when you meet him in real life. I'm like, who's this? What's going on? I'm not afraid of you. What's happening? But the thing is, I think that they're going for who can act Because you can have someone who looks exactly like Omari Hardwick, who reminds you of Omari, and he's like, oh no, Kanan, I don't know what to do. They're gonna sell the crack down the street. It's not gonna work. So I'd rather someone who can embody what Ghost is as opposed to what they look like. I also do not want this season to be the immediate reaction to what happened during the finale. I would be, you was like, oh, they aged him up. I would be so gosh darn happy if this was, I don't know, 2 years later, 3 years later, because I don't need to know everything all at once. You know what I mean? I don't need to like end, then she got shot. Here comes Jukebox. Ah! Or even Jukebox shot Kanan because we don't know where that's going to come from. Let everything be a little mystery when we get into the episode. And I think that aging everything up, we already know. You shoot your mama, even if you don't kill her. There's kind of no coming back from that at that moment. So he has to leave and then build up whatever it is with Breeze. And then we get not Omari, sorry. We get, oh God, what is his character? Ghost. Sorry. Then we get Ghost and that relationship. That to me would be more something that I would want to watch as opposed to, hi, I'm Ghost. Nice to meet you. I'm Tommy. Nice to meet you. And Tommy, I don't even think is going to be in this season until probably the very end or the back half. So for me, I want them to just kind of establish that. We already know, hey, Pops and Snaps introduced their nephew to this guy named Kanan. And we know that Kanan, we know who Breeze is because we already have the backstory of that because we watched the original. Not everything has to be like, and then this happened, and then that. Let us get already a little established. What happens if he has his own little crew? And then also unique in that whole situation. How does that become a thing? So I think that, and I understand why people are mad because at first I was like, but I think let us just see something first. Let me meet the man. Let me just see something first before, for me, I start judging. And also, people's sizes do change. We've all seen this throughout life, just in general. You can be bone skinny when you was a kid, and then once you're a teenager, you put on that weight, and then once you're older teenager, you start working out, and then you go back to a slim figure because Omari has a slim figure. So who's to say he was a little chunky when he was a teenager? It's okay. I like it. Look neat. See, he holds you and you're nice and warm now. So that coat, he don't even have to button the coat because he's warm just in general. So I like it.
Yeah, he must have met Angela and started watching his diet. Like he started he started minding what he eats after he met her, I guess.
Well, remember, Tasha was the big cook of everything. So maybe he was like, Tasha, I got to slow down as he got older. But right now, he's enjoying Tasha's meals. And then you got Angela feeding him too. Double meals.
Yeah, I guess so. But let's hear from Richard. What was your first thoughts when you saw this?
Well, first and foremost, one comment to make. Tommy will be in the season because there also was a picture of that actor as Tommy. And I said, okay, I'm fine with that. Yeah, we'll have to find. I have to find where that is, and I'll share it once I find it because I saw it. I think it was yesterday. But to go to my immediate reaction when I saw this, and my immediate reaction, I sent a text to Gary. I said, "Who is this individual?" Now, I don't question the acting. I know the acting choice. I trust Sasha Penn made a good choice with the actor. I think what you said about the size, Gary, I could understand people saying that, but for me personally, there's only one thing that makes me feel this isn't Ghost, and it has everything to do with the cornrow hairstyle. We have never seen Ghost have that hairstyle. And when I saw that, and I went back to, Dana made a post, I believe some time ago on our Twitter that was referencing, it showed images from the Power finale. The original Power finale, when they had the flashback, even that version of Ghost had the exact same hairstyle. There was no cornrows. So that when I saw that, I said, because when I saw the image at first, I said, wait a second. So did Jukebox gain a whole bunch of muscle now? And now she's, I mean, I was very confused when I saw that. Then when I looked closer, I said, okay, yeah, so this is Ghost. So listen, I don't have a problem with the acting choice. I think I know that Spence can act. That's not really what the issue is. It's just that the cornrow thing really threw me off because I've never seen Ghost have that hairstyle whatsoever. That's why I was like, yeah, this doesn't look, I don't really know how I feel about that. But yes, I do agree with what Dana said. We have to give them the benefit of the doubt and see what they're going to do. I also agree that they are going to age up the characters, but I will also say, much like Raising Kanan, they can have flashbacks and show younger versions of Ghost and Tommy because they did that in Raising Kanan. In the very first episode, you saw when Kanan got into that little fight. And Raquel was telling him to throw, get revenge on the guy, the kid. So they can do that because they have to explain how Ghost and Tommy got to this point. Obviously, certain stuff happened in their families, some points of tension that I feel they have to show. They will show it in the current timeline, but I think they will also show it in the past as well. So they may have other people that they have casted for the much younger versions of those characters. But overall, I would say, yes, I am intrigued to see where they're going. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, the choice of the Tommy, I think that was a good choice also. But yeah, I just want to learn more and see where they go from here. Yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
Can I say something about the braids to refute what you stated? One, people change their hairstyles all the time. I had nothing but braids when I was growing up as a kid. It wasn't until, even through college, it wasn't until I got my first job that was like, oh, I could take the braids out. So people's hairstyle changes all the time. On top of that, we're looking at a young Ghost and a young Tommy and a young everything. When we meet them in the original, he's already established with an image. We see the house. We see the bags. We see the club. That's a certain image. Tommy, I don't think ever really changed. But the point is, you reflect who the people that you're around, right? So if Ghost is polishing up his look, Tommy's going to be like, oh, I like that. Let me polish up mine, which can impact and affect other people around you. So I think that we're meeting him as a kid. We're not meeting him as nightclub owner, drug dealer, man in the penthouse with money and bags and a wife dressed in good clothes or whatever it is. So I don't have any problems about the braids.
Yeah, that's true. People do change their hairstyles, but I didn't think young Ghost was gonna look like Busta Rhymes, though. That's not what I imagined. It seems like a different show, like Raising Busta or something. I don't know, but I will say that it's fair enough if Stars wants to switch some things up about the history, the lore, and maybe do a few retcons. I think that's cool, but I think what they should do is before this show does air, I think they need to Sasha Penn and everyone need to be very clear about the direction they took, just to set up people's expectations a little bit, because you don't want a situation where there's a fan boycott or a fan outcry or something, because there were a lot of people being vocal this week. So yeah, I think they need to get ahead of that and just be very honest about the direction that they're taking with this show, just to keep people's expectations in order, because I think people are looking at original Power and thinking that this is going to be like that, and that it's going to follow it to a T kind of thing. So yeah, go ahead, Richard.
I just was going to make a comment and say, yeah, I understand that. I do believe that this show will still work, though, because you got to look at the past of how they handled these other Power shows. Now, when the original Power ended, I absolutely hated Tariq St. Patrick when Ghost ended, I was like, man, I like how they have grown this character. I like what they did with the character, even though the story wasn't completed with him yet. So I kind of feel like, yeah, I have no doubt that these two actors are going to do a phenomenal job. Like Dana said, we need to see it, to see the actual show in motion, to see how it works, how it fits together. But yeah, I trust that Sasha Penn is going to do a good job because, again, Raising Kanan, we have to be honest, that is the best Power spinoff. You know, this show here that we're covering right now, it's an okay show, but this Raising Kanan is by far the best of the spinoffs. Ghost was okay too, but I still think Raising Kanan, because the writing, everything about the show is great. So I trust that he will make this show good. So yeah, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and see where they go. But yeah, I did see the critiques, and some of the stuff was funny that I saw, the comments that people were leaving. But let's see what happens, ladies and gentlemen, before we judge too harshly.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it its due diligence and check it out, see what they do when it comes out. But Dana, you get the last word before we move on.
No, my last word is stars come after Richard, not me. I love what you're doing. I love your shows. No, I think a lot. People had a lot of discernment when it came to other things of not looking the same. There was an uproar. There was an uproar with Cynthia Erivo being Alphabet. Oh my God, she's black. So I just think I need to see a trailer, some teasers, see them talk about it. I think it's going to be okay, because the one thing that I do feel, and I've always felt this, even when Force was not forcing, they genuinely love this franchise. Yeah, it's like, oh, we can get money. But I feel like they genuinely care about these characters and what has been created and extending a legacy. And even Joseph Socorro, he was an executive producer of the first season of Force. He had to step in and was like, things ain't right. We got to right the ship. Because he cares about Tommy. He's been Tommy for so long. And I think that when you look at the legacy of the characters, people genuinely care about him. It got to the point where it's like, who was stars without power? Which is a whole nother conversation. So I think that it's going to be all right. It's okay to criticize what we don't know, but also it's what we don't know. So I'm here for it. Let me just sit and wait and see what's going to go off, what's going to happen, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Go ahead, Rich.
One final comment to make. This is because Dana said about stars. I got respect for stars, but let me make this comment. If you are a Joseph Sikora fan, you need to watch Reasonable Doubt. Fantastic season, and that finale, yeah, fantastic show. Just watch that show. That's all I wanted to say. Go ahead, Gary.
I am going to try and watch that after Force ends, but yeah, because I'm hearing good things about it. But yeah, I agree with Dana. There's a lot we don't know. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes and things like that. So that's why we do have to give it a chance. I think all the jokes are fun and all the discussion is fun, but yeah, we'll give it a chance when it comes out. And then and Sasha Penn also, you need to give Dana Abercrombie the exclusive. If you want to talk about the show ahead of it coming out, Dana's got you. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. But yeah, speaking of Dana, I am going to pass it over to you because you wanted to talk about the Force movie, right? There was something new, some new details.
So as we know, there was going to be a Force movie. Joseph Sikora was on The Breakfast Club, and he was staying because people were like, well, what's going on? And then he did a plethora of interviews. He was on Tamron Hall. He like his black women. But he was on Tamron Hall too, and he was on a bunch of other talk shows and radios and YouTubers. And basically he was explaining, please come and talk to me. But basically he was explaining that Force is going to be the last, not Force, I'm so sorry, that the upcoming Power movie is going to be his last hurrah. He will not say if he's going to die or if he's going to live, but he is letting you know this is going to be his last hurrah. So we'll get Legacy. Whether or not he ends up croaking in Legacy, we don't know. Maybe something dangerous happens, and then now he has to escape from those kids, and then we get the movie, and then that's when he's like, he's shut down because he kept iterating that people in his life, in that lifestyle, do not live to see an old age. They do not live to, hey, he's your daughter and your son and your great grandkids. That's just something that doesn't normally happen to them. And so it seems like he could be preparing us for that end of riding into the dusty trail by himself and then meeting Lady Death. So it's interesting how it's going to happen. I kind of wish he would not talk, but obviously people are going to have that question. He is not answering. He's not giving a direct, yes, I die, or yes, I live. But he kept iterating that this is going to be his last hurrah as the character. But he talked also about he is going to still be involved in the Power universe of stars in general. He talked about he directed, I think it was 305 of Force, and how he is, taking his classes and he wants to be more of a director and be more involved. We know he is the executive producer of Force. So it's more of like, what can I do behind the scenes? So even if Tommy does live, or if Tommy dies, his hurrah, his playation of the character is now going to come to an end pretty soon. We do not have a release date for the movie. We clearly don't have a release date for Legacy. But we do, I'm sorry, is it Legacy or is it Origin? Of Legacy. Holy shows. We don't have a release date for that, but I would surmise that it is within, what year are we in? 25? So within the next 5 years, we have left of Tommy. I think 5 years or less of Tommy. And then we have to, say goodbye to that character. So please let it be that girl who he, Proctor's daughter, Lisa Marie. But we'll see.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's really that's a really impressive thing that Joseph Sikora takes so much agency over the character, because he is synonymous now with Tommy Egan, and I think it's cool that they're kind of tying up loose ends and they see like the end of the character, because what happens a lot in TV is like you just endlessly get a character and there's no ending, no conclusion. It just goes on and on and on and on until the money runs out and the show abruptly ends. Like that happens a lot in TV. But it's cool that they have an ending for the character in mind and that they actively want to work towards that ending. So I think that's exciting. I do think that the Power universe is so big. It's become such a big property that it does deserve to have a film. So and Tommy is probably the character that deserves to be the feature, the headline of the film. So yeah, I think this is a great move. I think that it's cool that we are going to get an end for Tommy, because it's important to show that things come full circle. Like Tommy is a very likable character, but he is a bad guy. He does bad. He's done a lot of like bad things throughout his life. So seeing an end for the character, I think, will make things come full circle. And if we're talking full circle, I do think we're owed an appearance by a certain character if this happens in some capacity. Even if he's a literal ghost, when the inevitable happens to Tommy. Yeah, I just feel like that would be the perfect full circle moment, because who was there when Ghost died, allegedly? Who was there when Ghost died? Right next to him. So
Tariq.
no, Tommy was there. He was right there. So but yeah, Richard, what's your thoughts on this movie?
Well, yes. First and foremost, shout out to Dana for that information. I also saw that Breakfast Club interview. Very, very entertaining interview, by the way. I have to give a shout out. Chris D. Lofton in that that joke about what is it? 50 Cent's rival, Ja Rule. And he stopped following him on Instagram. That was hilarious. I have to give that was hilarious. That probably was the viral moment for that particular interview.
Oh,
but
yeah,
to go to what
yeah,
you did see that. Yeah, that was funny. But to go to what Dana said, I personally think Joseph Sikora is a phenomenal actor. I like how every time he talks about the Tommy character, he gives all the credit to Gary Lennon, because Gary Lennon is important for really putting the highlight on that character and showing parts of that character that you wouldn't normally see. So I think the movie, yes, I do believe that Tommy will eventually get to his position of power, what he wants, and then what could happen at the very end of that movie, because I know Dana always has that joke about The Wire. And what happened to Omar when he got shot when he went to the store by the little kid? Yeah, Tommy can get to his position of power, and then all of a sudden somebody walks in and shoots him. And that's how you continue. Okay, now this other person is going to get their own show because they took out Tommy. I mean, that could happen. But yes, I do think, yes, like you said, Gary, he is a likable character, but he is also a bad guy. The bad guys can't get away with everything all the time. So at some point, it will catch up to him, and that's the end. But until then, I look forward to seeing how they ride out his story, because I do want to see what happens the rest of this season, what happens in Legacy, and obviously in the movie. So I will definitely be watching all of this stuff to see where they take Tommy as a character.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I mean, if you're a fan of Power, it's an exciting time because we're really in like a transitional period now. You know, Force is ending, Raising Kanan's ending, Ghost is gone, and you know we're getting towards Legacy and Origins, and now you know we're talking movies, we're talking transitions of characters and things like that. So it's an exciting time to you know come up with these theories and speculate about what's going to happen, who's going to be around. So yeah, it's interesting. But that is going to be it for this episode. So any final thoughts before we wrap this up? I'll go to you first, Richard.
Oh no, definitely enjoyed the episode. I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone had to say about the episode. Yeah, please do leave your comments, like, subscribe, and also use the hype button if you like. That will further promote the podcast. But no, looking forward to seeing what happens next week.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you said that. The hype button is a thing. I'm not sure if it is it open to everyone now, or is it premium only or something?
Oh no, it's open to everybody that has a monetized channel. Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so do hit that hype button. That helps us out a lot. But yeah, Dana, any final thoughts?
No, Claudia's gonna come and destroy everything and be the queen. And I'm like, yay. And D-Mac is gonna be one of the most successful kingpins to ever exist solely based on his luck.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, she won me over with that scene today. Like she was like she was on her boss chick, you know, ish in that moment. So I gotta give it to her. Like that was cool. But yeah, well, that is gonna be it. We'll see you guys next week. Everybody take care of yourselves. Peace out.